Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. Hope you are all doing extremely well today. So I really hope you enjoyed the track at the beginning of this video. Super happy with it, and it was loads of fun to make, and a special thanks to Pete for his last minute cameo appearance on that track as well. All the guitar tones that you heard in that video were produced using the particular plugin that we're going to be focusing on in this video from Neural DSP, and that is the Archetype Cory Wong plugin. So, Cory Wong, if you've not heard of him before, you need to Google Vulfpeck and also Fearless Flyers. Those are two of my favorite projects he's involved in, especially Vulfpeck. I discovered those guys years ago and they're just awesome. If you've not heard Dean Town, do yourself a favor. It's a banger. Anyway, Cory Wong is a fantastic funk rhythm guitar player. He has a really unique approach to tone as well, and his specific sort of what I would say is like the sound I associate with him is that fourth position, super compressed, tight, rhythmic funk playing. Yeah, basically, I love his stuff, and I'm really excited to get stuck into this plugin because it's completely different from anything else Neural DSP have done before. I was actually really surprised to find out Neural DSP were working with Cory Wong, just because, you know, it's so different from everything else Neural have done before. It's a real departure. With that in mind, Archetype Cory Wong is full of really wicked guitar sounds, completely different from anything Neural have done before. As I said, you can get some really strange but awesome guitar sounds. So we're going to get stuck in, and I'll show you how the plugin works with a quick overview, and then we'll crack on into some tones, and I'll share with you some of my presets, which should be available with the launch version of this plugin. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay, so let's take a look at the Archetype Cory Wong from Neural DSP. So yeah, like all the other plugins, along the top you've got different elements of the plugin. So like in this case, you've got the wah, then you've got stomp boxes, then you've got your amplifiers, your EQ, your IRs and cab sim, and your delay and reverb. And then your next row down, you've got input, gate, mono stereo, oversampling, normal and high. That's, you know, dependent on your CPU of your computer and all that. Preset area and your output. And then we've got our main interface for each element of the plugin. So when you change it, you know, changes the graphic and the UI and all that kind of stuff. Bottom left, you've got your MIDI integration. So if you use, you know, a MIDI pedal, you can, you know, sync it up and use it here. Then you've got a tuner, which is always very useful. And then here in the middle, you've got your different amplifiers and cabs. So if I click these, it changes the different amplifiers. And like the Nolly Archetype, you can unlink them and blend different cabs with different amp heads, which is really, really cool. So the first amplifier is the Cory Wong DI Funk console. It's basically emulating a channel strip of a mixer in a sense that you would plug a guitar straight into it. It would be like a clean DI. Try and think about the John Mayer clip where he's playing that Silver Sky straight into the desk, and it just sounds awesome. It's that kind of vibe. So with that, we've got things like compressors. We've got, you know, you can change the attack rate. We've got tube saturation, which warms things up, thickens things up really nicely. High pass and low pass, your lows, you can change the frequency that affects. Same with the mids. You've got your highs, and finally you've got your volume. So really, really cool. Just try and think of it more like if you were using a mixing desk. You know, it's kind of cool, but in the amplifier format, it's kind of nice because it's what we know, right, as guitar players. Right, so the next amplifier is the Clean Machine. This is much more of a simple kind of layout. Your volume, if you gun that, you get a nice amount of gain and warmth. Not too much gain, but just a nice sort of thick sort of sound. 3-band EQ, presence, and then your master volume. And then you've got the amp snob. Again, it's not a high gain amplifier, but you can crunch it up if you gun the gain. Obviously you've got a bright switch, which is really useful again, depending on the kind of guitar you're using and all that. 3-band EQ, master, presence, and a drive switch, which engages like a clipping stage, which is really, really cool. Next, we've got pedals. So these are really, really cool. You can get so many different sounds here. I love the names as well. The Postal Service, which is an envelope filter, genius name. Fourth position compressor, because Cory Wong famously has that fourth position sort of funk tone that he has. Then you've got the Tuba, which is a tube screamer. And then you've got the Big Rig Overdrive, which is, I think, like the Big Red Overdrive, I believe, similar kind of vibe. We've got a 9-band EQ that changes depending on which amp you're using, which is really cool. Your cab section, which has 6 mics and 600 IRs that you move between when you move the mic around, which is really great. Like all the Neural DSP plugins, sounds fantastic. You can blend endlessly, so that's awesome. And then you've got your delay and reverb. So this is a new delay algorithm called the delay or something like that. You can have single or dual delays, and you've got high and low pass filters, and you can change the tone, all that kind of stuff. It's like a nice kind of tape delay kind of vibe. Then we've got the wash, which is a lovely reverb. I really like this. But we've also got a shimmer effect, which is very cool, which has not been done before. So that's really nice. And then last but not least, a very cool feature here, which if you have a MIDI pedal, you can sync this up and use the wah pedal with an external MIDI sort of volume pedal or MIDI wah or anything like that, which is very, very awesome. But if you don't have that, you can use it as an auto wah. And you just turn it on, and then it reacts to the dynamic of you playing, the attack speed and all that stuff you can change. So even if you don't have an external wah pedal, you can still use this feature in the plugin, which is sick. And that about covers everything to do with the Cory Wong Archetype plugin from your DSP. Let's check out some tones. All right, so we've had a look at the overview of the plugin. Now let's get into some tones. For this video, I'm using my custom shop 55 Strat with the bare knuckle 63 veneer board set in there. And basically I've got a screen grab going on so you can see what we're doing. We're gonna have a look through the amp's tones, and then I'll show you some of the presets. So let's start. Okay, first we've got the DI Funk console. This thing, I really, really enjoy it. So let me show you what it sounds like as soon as you load up the plugin and just play. So immediately, it's very much a DI, you know, that's what it sounds like. That's kind of the idea. But what you can do with it is really, really in depth, because it's like a channel strip. So first thing I'm gonna do is boost the compression. Fast attack, I want a bit of tube saturation. Gonna put the low pass up, I want a bit more top end. Might dip off a bit of the mids around 600. Boost some of the highs at around 2.5K. And let's have a listen. So straight in, using the compression and saturation, EQ it a little bit, gives it more life. But this is the special part. If we turn off the cab, so if I double click the cab symbol, so this is before, and then I'll do it. Hear how much more top end there is, because it's just a straight up clean DI. So I might back a bit of that off, boost the volley. Fourth position. So suddenly you got way more of that sort of top end attack for all that kind of, like, I'm into that because I'm a big fan of funk, or definitely back in the day when me and Ben and Dave started jamming, we used to just jam funk. So yeah, into that. So that's kind of how the funk console works in terms of, you know, I actually think it's better without the cab, but you know, for straight up kind of tones out of the amp itself. But if you want to start messing with the pedals, probably I advise putting the cab back on, because that's where you get all the harsh frequencies. So if I throw on the tuba, you can hear, it's a cool sound, but it might be a little bit too much sort of fizz for you. So if you turn the cab back on, it gets rid of it all the way. And then, considering we're just using one mic right now, if I do 4, 2, 1. So you can hear how much you can affect it by using the cab sim on and off. In other plugins, this wouldn't work, but considering it's meant to be a desk console, it really, just allows you to do cool stuff with it. So that's a quick look at the DI Funk console. A great sound, especially if you turn the cab off to give you that super snappy funk tone. Lots of fun. I like the responsiveness of it. So anyway, let's move on to the clean machine. Turn the cab back on. This is what we've got. So I'm going to boost the volume. Going to get a little bit of grit. So it's still very much a clean sound, but I really like how articulate it is. That was with the bright switch in, so this is without it. And then with it in. Oh, it's great. So this is a good opportunity to show you what the stomp boxes sound like. So this is the clean machine. I've gunned the volume. I'm going to take the volume back down a bit. Sounds lovely. Right, let's start by showing you the compressor. So this is without it. Fourth position, of course. Yeah, really love it. It's really snappy, really, really nice. Well into that. Okay, the postal service, which is an envelope filter. So one thing I would do immediately is turn the range up. And the sensitivity is just going to make it open to the top of the range faster. You know what I mean? So if I turn the range up and the sensitivity up, it's allowing less dynamic before it opens the envelope up, as opposed to all the way down. You'd have to hit it really hard to get it to open all the way up. I like it somewhere around sort of 1 o'clock. This kind of thing. Let's have a listen. I might push that down. Yeah, that's cool. So that is really cool. I prefer it with a little bit more drive, which I will show you when we get to the presets, but just to give you a quick demonstration of what it does. Now, of course, the tuba, so this is without. Throw the tuba on, it's a tube screamer. So of course it adds more mid-range and it takes away the low end. I usually like putting the drive down and putting the level up a bit. The old gent trick. Sounds great. That's a lovely sounding amp. Sounds great, and that's just the amp. I haven't even got any pedals in front. EQ's fairly standard. I mean, in terms of when I'm loading this up, that is the EQ that's in there. So it's already been kind of messed with a little bit. I'm not sure if that'll be the case in the pre-release version. This is a beta version. But anyway, with the bright switch on. Sounds lovely. So let's try some pedals in front of this. I'm going to throw the compressor on. Really feels great. I'm well into that compressor. Right, let's try the tuba. Big rig overdrive. Let's just turn the level down on that. So it's clear that just like using all the other Neural DSP plugins, whether it's the pedals you're using or the amp or the cab or the EQ, you can get so many different sounds. Something to bear in mind is that we're looking at a completely different genre of guitar tone. So it's just as endless as all the other heavier, more high gain plugins that Neural do, but just in a different context, in a different genre. And I just think that's great. It speaks volumes to how good they are at what they do, because I'm getting just as many tones in a completely different area of music as I am with the heavier stuff. Yeah, hats off. Okay, so next up is the wah. Now, sadly, I don't have a MIDI controllable expression pedal or wah pedal to actually hook this up to use it with the pedal itself, but it does come with the auto wah feature, which works very similar to the Postal service in that you set your sensitivity, your threshold, the attack and the range of everything, and you turn it on and you get wah. So it's reactive to your sensitivity, which is really useful. So there you go. It's pretty cool. Okay, so last but by certainly no means least, the effects section. So we've got the delay and the wash. So let me show you firstly the delay. It's kind of like a tape delay in a sense. It's got that degradation of the signal. And of course we can change the tempo. And of course we can change the time of each individual delay. Something else to point out is the sync button here. That syncs it to your project. We're not going to have that engaged because I haven't set any kind of tempo for the project here. And of course you've got a toggle switch between single delay and dual delay. So this is single. I've also got a high and low pass, of course. So on the left you've got your low pass, and on the right you've got your high pass. So you can get some really nice chorusy delay tones. So that's the delay and of course the wash. So again, same idea here, high and low pass. So you can really dial in the kind of reverb sound you want. Lots of decay. My cup of tea. Again, I'm going to get lost in that for ages. Let me quickly show you the shimmer. Rather glorious. So that kind of covers all of the different elements of the plugin. I tried to breeze over it to save this video being 10 hours long, of course, but it's quite clear that it's as in-depth and as thorough as all the other Neural DSP plugins, and you can get literally a plethora of different guitar tones for the kind of funky, bluesy, neo soul, you know, R&B, all that side of you know, guitar playing, obviously. There are so many different avenues of guitar playing, but I think that this plugin in particular, the Cory Wong Archetype, definitely caters to those people that don't necessarily want to use loads of gain, which is great. I thought it was about time that Neural DSP did it, and they've done it in style, and they've done it like really, really well. So next up, and finally for this video, I'm just going to show you some of my personal presets that I've created that you should be able to get hold of by the time you're watching this video. So here's one of my presets, Afro Funk. I actually used this sound for the left and the right rhythm guitars on the track. Sounds really nice. Next one is called Post Me a Strat Neck, and I used this for the sort of lead top line in that track, so it was like the Something worth pointing out that when you load up any of my presets, I used this guitar to do it. So of course your guitar will be different, output will be different, all that kind of stuff. So you might want to adjust things as you go, but this will give you a ballpark kind of idea of what they sound like. So this is one of my personal favorites. This is called Rabea's Fourth Position. Here's another preset for you. This is called Gardening. So this is the final preset I've made. Now, I will admit, I got a bit like lost in this plugin, messing around with all the different sounds. So it's pretty weird. This is called Siren Lead, #weird. Okay, so that about sums it up for the Cory Wong Archetype plugin from Neural DSP. Now, like all their plugins, they blow me away. They always sound, first and foremost, they always sound great. And secondly, because I'm more familiar with amplifiers and that kind of thing, the controls, everything about the interface, dialing in a tone in the same way that you would on an amplifier, but you know, in a plugin format, it reacts the same. When you turn up the gain, you get that believable amount. The same with the bass, middle, and treble. Now, I don't have loads of experience with other plugin creators outside of Neural DSP, but I know for sure that for me to be able to be satisfied with the kind of tones that I can get from any of their plugins over using my amplifiers, my Valve stuff, they do it every time. It's great. It's fantastic. And the fact you can have it on your laptop wherever you are in the world, you can travel around and just write and create with great guitar tones digitally on your laptop or on your computer. We already know all that. The Cory Wong plugin, as far as I'm concerned, is a great step in the right direction for Neural DSP. I'm really, really happy and excited for them because it's a departure from what we know Neural DSP to do, which is mainly heavy, high gain stuff. So this is really exciting because it proves and shows that they can do fantastic sounding, cleaner, more boutique guitar tones digitally. So I'm really, really impressed. I also want to say a huge congratulations to Cory Wong for getting to work with Neural DSP on this plugin because it's a great opportunity. So congratulations, and congratulations to Neural DSP for releasing another banger. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below and what you thought of that little tune. Thanks again for watching. Thanks to Neural DSP. I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.